The Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and the regular season is here. We have a full slate of football. Football's finally here. And you know what? Before we know it, we're going to wind up at rivalry week because it always goes by way too fast. Since college is in session, I figured I might as well start off with a joke about chemistry, but probably won't get much of a reaction. Fresh, I'm joined by you for another great season. How you doing, buddy?
We've made through week 0. It was a lot of fun. Week 1 now, the appetizer, now it's the full entree. Games Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and we even got Monday. This is obviously part 1 of 2 parts because there's so many games for us to preview, so we'll dive through, bear with us. But it's football season. It is a loaded weekend of games. I'm really excited for this football. We actually have a great slate of football games this weekend, and really excited to dive in all the different matchups we have coming ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be down in Orlando like always, and then I'll be recording our wrap-up show from poolside usually like always. So it's exciting times, man. I love this weekend.
That recorded from a pool.
All right, Fresh, let's go to our first game of the weekend. This is probably one of the more intriguing matchups. On Thursday night, we got the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're going to play the Cincinnati Bearcats. This game is going to take place in Kansas City, Missouri. And at time of record, I was shocked. Nebraska's only 6.5-point favorite. Over-under is at 53.5. I got a feeling that line's going to move a little bit. This is week 1 for Nebraska here on this whole year 3 tour that the Cornhuskers are going to have. What do you got for Nebraska versus Cincinnati?
Well, I mean, there might be 10 Cincinnati fans in the whole stadium. This game being played in Kansas City, it might as well be a Nebraska home game, even though Nebraska's technically the visitor. Whoever set this thing up, it's a gold mine for ticket sales. But it'll be an interesting game. Year 3, like you mentioned, year 3 of that rule. We've seen what he does at Temple. We've seen what he has done at Baylor. Usually it's that year where they take that jump and they're successful. The pressure is on, though, because obviously you're not playing the American. You're not playing the Big 12. You're playing the Big 10. There are 4.5, 5 loaded teams in the Big 10 at the top right now. You've got to find a way to, can you compete in that top 5, compete in the top 6 of that league? But beating Cincinnati, a Big 12 opponent, is going to be the real setting the tone for the season expectations. Dana Holgorsen came in last year, mid to late in the year as the offense coordinator, kind of wanted to get back and had the itch to coach. And you saw the offense take a change there with Bella. He kind of grew up later on. Early on in the season, it was very clunky. It didn't really seem fluid. He was still growing, obviously, as a freshman. Year 2 for him in Holgorsen's offense, the whole offseason there in place. I want to see from this in this game how they've taken that jump from the bowl game last year in New York in the Pinstripe Bowl, the late season push they made to now. How can they? I don't expect them to put up 60 points, but I want to see has Raiola grown? Has the offense grown? They don't have the wow me running back names. They have it's gonna be a collection of guys for the most part the rest of the year progresses. But they did actually go out and address the receiver spot with Dane Key from Kentucky. Barron obviously was the better receiver, the number 1 in Kentucky, but Dane Key was number 2 there and did some solid things for the past couple of years there for the Wildcats. I want to see him jump into that big time role in this Nebraska offense and see if he can elevate and pick the rest of the receivers up and gel with Raiola as they move forward. So that's one thing from the offensive side. But as we know, Nebraska's still built on running the football and they're built on the offensive line. Can they get that going and be consistent? We didn't see much of a running game last year, and that at times put a lot of that pressure on Raiola to deliver. If they can get the running game going and allow the passing game to develop, allow Raiola to play in a much more comfortable situation, especially from ahead, you're going to see the Cornhuskers really develop and grow as the season goes on. But you got to show up week 1. There's no preseason. You had some scrimmages. You're going to have, first time live contact with an opponent that's not your own scout team. How are they ready to come? Are they ready? Are they fully energized when they come from the jump? Is there jitters? Are they going to come out lightning in the first quarter and then kind of slow down? Are we going to see jitters in the first half and slowly play it in the second half? But I think having the familiarity last year coming into this year is going to help Raiola and the offense take the jump. Defensively, we're still waiting to see the Blackshear defense at a consistent level.
Right.
I don't think they fully earned it last year, so I want to see how they're taking the next step. Who's going to rise up and become a player? It's not going to be because they don't have the guys on the defense. They went out this past offseason, went in the transfer portal, and got Williams Neri, former 5-star, top 5 overall prospect, who went to Missouri for a year, got paid big time, now leaving the program. He only had 2 tackles, one of them being sacked last year from Missouri. So it asked me the question, why didn't he see the field? Was he overrated? Was he not developed? Was he just not clicking? Was he just not beating out guys ahead of him? How is he going to turn that into year 2 here in Nebraska? Is he going to actually live up to the 5-star, top 5 overall recruit, or is he just going to be a guy? A big moment here. Was the scene too big for him at Missouri, or is he actually able to get the skills and be able to find the first year, get his footing, and take it the next step and lead the Nebraska defense and actually become a pass rushing force for that front seven? This is a tone. Cincinnati, they're an okay program, but they aren't the Luke Fickle Cincinnati Bearcats. The move to the Big 12, I think, has proven to be they maybe bit off a little more than they could chew from the American to this league. We've seen it with UCF. We've seen it with Houston. They both did really well in the American. They made the jump to the Big 12, and we haven't seen the same juice. The recruiting is different. The level of play is different, consistently game in and game out. Can Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield turn the switch and get themselves to become a competitive football team? This might actually be Satterfield's playing for his job this season, or coaching for his job, if you will. And ironically, Luke Fickle's coaching for his job at Wisconsin. Could they have a reunion in the offseason if Satterfield can't get the Bearcats back on track? This is a critical moment for this program in the Big 12. You're going to become just a name. Yeah, you're getting a big payday. You probably get more money in revenue from media and all that stuff being in the Big 12 as you do from the American, but you're not winning. So what did you have to cost you in the end? You have a chance to beat Nebraska, set the season off right, get a Big 10 win on your bucket, and prove that, hey, we're still going to be something to be a noise. We're going to make noise. We're going to be a force in the Big 12 and across the nation as we go forward. We've had a 2-year blip, and we're ready to fight back and get back to becoming Bearcat football. So one blessing about being openers, you don't know what to expect. So are we going to see Brendan Sorsby? Are we going to see Tolby Walker, the transfer from Wisconsin? Are they going to show up and be a much more of a run-focused football team, or is Sorsby going to be able to air it out? I think it'd be safer if they ran the football and try to maintain the clock and save Sorsby. He's not the greatest quarterback, but he's the starter. But hey, Satterfield's going to try to air it out. That's what his offense really is. And we're going to have to be much more mindful of that running game and use it to your advantage. Defensively, I am excited to see Dante Corleone fully healthy. Last year, he came in off of a serious medical procedure in the fall camp. They got a late start to the season. Still finished with 3.5 sacks, which actually was the most in his career so far. He had 3 his freshman year, 3 his sophomore year, 3.5 last year. Him being fully healthy and ready to go. He was a top defensive line player in the country last year. Could have gone to the NFL. Came back for a reason. Looking to see him make the jump this year and take advantage of it so he can lead this Bearcat defense. But in the end, Cornhuskers should roll. I mean, it's a 6.5 spread. I think Cornhuskers can take advantage of that. But where's the mindset from Nebraska? Are you ready to be old Nebraska football? Are you trying to get yourself back to a bowl game and become a force? Or are you going to come out here and play with your food and just try to survive? I need to see Nebraska come out with an authority in this week 1 opener to really know what kind of message they're sending to the Big Ten and to the country that Matt Rule can turn a program around at any level.
Fresh, weird thing is, I'm not nervous about the Nebraska offense this year. I really am not. I love the hire that they made with Dana over there, run that as the OC. And I think Dylan Raiola, there's so much put onto him as a freshman. 5-star, depending on what rating service you looked at, he was the number 1 quarterback in that class. Depending on which one you want to go off of. A couple other guys would like a word on that one. But again, the college game is so much different than high school. I don't care how physically talented you are. I don't care how smart you are, what your pedigree is. There's still going to be a pretty steep learning curve. I thought he really did okay as a true freshman playing that starter role and the weight of the Nebraska fan base being put on him. The concern I have for Nebraska is this defense. You're sitting there saying all these things about the running game and what they've brought in on the passing attack there with Key. I also like Hunter and Barney over there, the 2 other sophomore receivers for them. Both of those guys got a little more juice in them, got some speed on the outside. So again, if you let Key work underneath and put those guys on the outside to go, or you could attack one of them using it as a slot receiver and run up the seam, put them on a linebacker. Again, the opportunities for their offense to me are bountiful. The whole thing about Nebraska football is made off of that black shirt defense. If I'm Cincinnati, I would do exactly what you just said. I would run the football. if I'm going to air it out, against this Nebraska team, I'm going to be trailing most of the game, and this game could get ugly very quickly for Cincinnati. If I run the football with Walker, with Evan Pryor, people forget of Evan Pryor, transferred from Ohio State last year, was doing really good stuff at Cincinnati last year before he went down with an injury. So you have two running backs who have a track record of being productive running backs. 3 yards in a cloud of dust here, guys. Control the clock. Keep the chains in front of you. Shorten this football game. Okay, if I'm Cincinnati, I'm shortening the football game. I'm reducing the amount of drives that Nebraska offense is going to get. Now, being honest with you, Fresh, I think Nebraska is going to put up points in this one, and all it's going to take is 1 3 and out when Cincinnati tries to run the football or gets stuffed or behind the sticks, and then they get that offense right back on the field. I think Nebraska wants as many offensive drives as humanly possible. I think they want to work out every single kink in the armor. I think they want to work out the play calling situation here. I don't think they want to work out in the running game. I think they want as many plays as humanly possible. I wouldn't be shocked to see Nebraska maybe at some point go a little bit no huddle. They'll go tempo, but they maybe you see something there. And if Cincinnati's going to try to slow the game down, Nebraska speeds it up. I think Nebraska is a 9.5 point favorite. I feel very confident in saying taking the over in this football game. I think Nebraska is going to have something for Cincinnati on the offensive side of the football. But again, the only concern I have is Cincinnati able to turn this into a shootout? Because Cincinnati's defense has got some players on it. I just don't see them with the ability to kind of throw some cold water on this offensive attack Nebraska's going to have. So I'll take the points in Nebraska there. And again, I would take 53.5. I'll take the over in that point. I think Nebraska is going to be good for at least 40.
At least 40, folks. You heard it right here. On someone. We haven't had a game where the boat raced them. And that is the one thing that's truly missing. You have a chance to beat somebody. You have a chance to beat a Big 12 opponent and set a tone, send a message that it's not just Illinois, Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon out there in the Big Ten. We're here, so we're still here too. We're a proud football program, and Matt Rhule is going to turn this around. Yeah. If you come out and struggle or you lose, those same feels are going to be hanging out throughout the entire program.
Yeah. All right, Fresh, let's go to the next game. This game is on Friday. It is going to be played in Boulder, Colorado. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets go on the road to face Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffs. Georgia Tech is a 4-point road favorite in this game. Over under set 54.5 at time of record. Haynes King and Jamal King are back. Eric Rivers is going to be their leading receiver there. And then you take a look at Colorado. It's going to be Caden Salter, maybe true freshman Julian Lewis. We might see a look at him. But again, there's a lot of new faces on the Colorado team. What do you got for them?
Well, first off, I want to see the last time we saw Georgia Tech play, they lost to Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl, and obviously they had the 8 overtime heartbreak to the Dogs in Athens before that. We haven't seen them play at a high level. We've seen them kind of, I think they gave everything against Georgia, and then they saw them kind of defeated versus Vanderbilt. They felt like they should have let it all out the bag. What kind of team shows up out here in Boulder? You're on the road, not getting too much. Some people are giving you love in the top 25. Some people aren't. We ranked you in the top 25. It's what team's going to show up? You had 2 players, 2 very impact players, hit the transfer portal and leave, but you brought in some guys like Rivers. Like where I want to see what's his identity. Are you guys with a chip on your shoulder? Are you coming out fired up? How does Buster Faulkner in that offense, Kane Stan quarterback and Jamal Hayes at running back, exercise some demons a little bit and come out there and attack what has been a porous Colorado defense for a long time? This is a chance to write a new chapter, write a new book, but you have to start off with chapter 1 being a win. So where's the mindset of this Yellow Jacket football team? On the Colorado side, that coaching staff, obviously outside of Prime, you got Warren Sapp there coaching the defensive line. You got Marshall Falk on staff. You got former NFL dudes who these guys, most of the kids on the team weren't even alive when those guys were actually in their prime, but their dads know them. They know if they have a reputation. How do those guys get these no-name players for the most part? This Colorado team that has a lot of new faces ready to go and fired up to play game one. What kind of energy they came out with? I'm actually the more I've looked into this football game, it kind of reminds me of the TCU Colorado opener 2 years ago. TCU's come off a national championship. Was this Colorado team ready to play big time D1 football? The two best players coming in from Jackson State. Do they have enough guys on the squad ready to be able to show up and give TCU a battle? And they obviously did. They won the game. I kind of have the same feel. I don't know what to expect at all from this Colorado football team. Where is their mindset? What is their swagger at? Where's their vibe at? Offensively, are they going to be fluid? Is Juju, is he going to get some playing time? Hayden Salter, I kind of feel in my opinion, just play Juju Lewis. Salter just feels like an kind of player at this point. The Liberty guy is a group of five quarterback. You go out there and you recruit Juju, let him play. Let the kid go out there and have Salter as a backup just in case. Just like Ed Shooter out there, play the vibe, get the guy out there with the skill, and let him roll. Defensively, though, I want to see if this Colorado defense actually has figured something out. Can they tackle? Are they ready to hit? Are they hitting the gaps? Are they bringing pressure? Can they get stopped and get off the field on fourth down? Are they tough enough? Are they ready to tackle? Because we know Georgia Tech's going to run the football. They're going to come out in 12 and 13 personnel, and they're going to run the ball down your throat. Are you ready to tackle? Are you ready to play grown man football from day one, from snap one, out there in Colorado? That is the biggest thing to see. Where's this toughest level of Colorado defense changed? Year three of the prime era. Have you recruited enough guys? Have you brought kids through the transfer portal in that are wanting to play football defensively, be physical enough, be ready to tackle, and not be out there for the glitz and glamour, but be out there for the dirty work? Be out there like Warren Sapp celebrated, but the dude was a monster in the middle because he never took a play off and he was a hustle guy and he hit everybody in the mouth. Can you play like that? Can you play heavy defense consistently from the start to the end? I think Georgia Tech at the end of the game will physically wear out Colorado because the offensive line is going to be a little more beefy. But this game's not going to be a blowout. I think it's right about 3 points. I think it's going to be a field goal ball game somewhere on there. They're right on with the Vegas line. But it'll be a late Georgia Tech holding on, like a death march, if you will, to close it out. They're not going to blow out Colorado. Colorado, I think, is going to have something for them. They're going to show up with some energy. But Tech will have just the depth to get them through this football game. It'll show that things are actually changing a little bit more. Colorado's actually getting some players that are actually going to play some better football, and it's not just going to be Shador, a bunch of receivers, and Travis Hunter. They're going to have a little more depth this year going forward. Like Georgia Tech's going to have it night one, and that's going to allow them to prevail. The Yellow Jackets get a win, but it's going to be gritty. It's not going to be a blowout.
Fresh, you made an interesting point when you said the more you got into this game, the kind of weirder it felt a little bit. Like, we are 4 years into Coach Prime being a head football coach, 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years now here at Colorado. And if you went around and asked the average college football fan, what is Coach Prime known for? Here's probably the top two answers: transfer portal and being loud and boisterous as a coach. And I don't really even think he's loud and boisterous. I think he speaks his mind when people ask him a question. It's on them he answers honestly, doesn't give you coach speak. I think this is finally the season we learn something about his coaching ability. We learn whether or not he's able to develop players the right way. You bring all these kids in the transfer portal. They come into Colorado from other programs. But the thing that's always been missing is the ability to gel. And I think this is one of the biggest problems with the transfer portal, especially when it comes to the offensive line. They don't have enough time to gel together. Those guys got to play snaps. They got to play meaningful football against opponents that aren't the same guys you're going up in practice against every single day. If Colorado wants to be taken seriously in the Big 12, and I think they're a really good program, they're so much better than 1-11 program they were a few years ago. But if you really want to be taken seriously about competing for the Big 12 title, it's going to come down to trenches. I think you're always going to get, with Coach Prime there, you're always going to get a quarterback. You're going to get a guy who can run the football. You're going to get a couple of half-decent receivers. The defensive secondary is probably going to be really good. It's going to come down to the trenches. Can you run block? Can you keep your quarterback's jersey clean? Can you get after the quarterback on the other side of the ball? That's got to be Colorado this year. You get all the hype, you get all those things. The reason why Coach Prime, Warren Sapp, Marshall Falk, all of those guys could dance in the end zone, be the big, larger than life personalities that they were, is because they delivered on Sunday. Colorado's got to deliver on Saturdays. Time and time again, deliver on Saturday. I don't necessarily know if they're going to do it against this Georgia Tech team. This Georgia Tech team is my pick right now to play Clemson in the ACC title game. I think this team is a step below Clemson, but Brett Key has turned this program into a meaningful force. He's in, is this year 3 for him?
Yes.
Year 3. You take a look at what he got. You take a look at Petty on the offensive line, Kevin Pay on the offensive line, the 2 freshmen who could possibly see time in this football game. And if those 2 dudes stay around at Georgia Tech, and again, Georgia Tech's going to have NIL deals out the yin-yang because they're situated in downtown Atlanta. They're one of the biggest tech schools in the country. This team is not going to be hurting for NIL to keep those kids around, but they got to do that. The one thing with Georgia Tech that I'm going to have to say, Haynes King, I got to see you take better care. Listen, you are a baller. You play this game with your hair on fire, and I love watching him play. I'm also terrified that the next play is going to be a career-ending injury because he plays with that much reckless abandon. So again, if it's me coaching Haynes King, I need you to develop, live to see another down. Live to see another down. You don't have to scramble. Like, get yourself out of bounds. Throw the ball away. Do something to keep yourself safe in that pocket there. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech with you, Fresh. I think this is going to be a close game. I would probably stay away from this game personally with me because of how close that spread is. I got it right there at that 3.5 marker, 3.5, 4 points. I think it's going to be a late drive by Georgia Tech. But if you tell me Colorado pulls the upset here, I think we're going to see some great offensive and defensive line play by the Buffaloes.
We've already mentioned one game in our preview with Cincinnati, Nebraska. This is Colorado. There's another game we're going to preview. Spoiler alert: Auburn and Baylor. The Big 12 has a chance before Saturday morning even arises, and we get the game day on Saturday morning. The Big 12 has a chance to make a statement against the Big 10, the ACC, and the SEC. So these aren't the top tier teams in the Big 12. These are the middle to the bottom. So, and these games aren't. Anything can happen on the football field. That's why we love sports. But there's a chance week 0, week 1, you can shock. And the Big 12 has a chance to really make a statement. They obviously have week 0 with everyone watching them with Kansas State, Iowa State, and Kansas playing. But then have this chance here, week 1. It's a chance for the conference who I think they feel like they're up there with the Big 10 and the SEC in their opinion. They have a chance to really set the tone and pull off some big wins. So we're going to see what kind of fire and juice these teams have coming out of the locker room and out of fall camp, ready to go week 1.
I'll take a Big 12 sweep if it gives me like nonstop coverage of Brett Yormark just being like absolutely cutting a promo on everybody.
Oh, it'll be dropping in a heartbeat.
All right, Fresh, let's go to our next game. This is also on Friday night. The Auburn Tigers, they're 2.5-point road favorites. They're going to Waco, Texas to play the Baylor Bears. At time of record, like I said, Auburn 2.5-point favorite. Over-unders at 57.5. Fresh, Q Freeze, year 2. Jackson Arnold. I love that kid, but man, it's put up or shut up time for him.
Can the fire be any hotter under Hugh Freeze's seat right now? I mean, there's no, if anyone knows Auburn football, there's no lack of NIL involvement. But the one problem that's going to go weird, where there's every major college football program has a lot of boosters that weigh in. But for some reason, to me, and this is my perspective, the influence and the infighting of the Auburn boosters is absolute chaos. And they run that athletic department more than I think other booster groups, other athletic departments have the situations. It, they will force him out if they are getting a quick turnaround. They're not patient. They have serious inferiority complexes to Alabama and Georgia. And the two of those teams being very, very successful decade plus, it has that fan base itching for a winner. And if this comedy of last year that happened, where they're losing to New Mexico State for the 2 years in a row coming into this year, they lose to Cal at home, just inexplicable losses across the board and terrible play. How much more can they take? And then this offseason of the whole recruiting issues where he's out playing golf and not recruiting, and their commits so far are pretty abysmal. All signs are pointing to absolute destruction and chaos in Auburn football. The pressure right now, if they come out and lay a clunker in the first drive or the first quarter or even lose the game, how is there's no way that Hugh Freeze would be able to technically stand this. Like the pressure would continue to mount and mount, and a couple three losses, he might not make it through October. The buyout does not matter. The price tag of that does not matter. So there's so much pressure to come out in this football game and get a W and look like a competent football team. Now I will say they aren't. Every time they play Alabama and Jordan Air, they look really good. I don't care who the coach is or what's going on. They figure it all out. Last year when they played A&M in late November, that team actually looked competent. The receivers made plays. The defense got off the field, and they looked like an Auburn football team should. Athletic, fast, tough, heavy hitters. But before that, it was very, very tough to find that same consistent play for the Auburn football team. So I want to see in this game, I'm not just looking at Jackson Arnold, I'm looking at the entire roster. Where's the mindset of this football team? Because usually, and this is a microcosm of athletes anywhere, the players on the team are a microcosm of their coach. They reflect how their coach addresses the team. If they're going to come out nonchalant, not physical, undisciplined, that is a direct reflection on Hugh Freeze and how he's led this program the past year and a half. We spoke to a former Auburn assistant who worked under Brian Harsin about a year and a half ago, who was assistant at Eastern Washington, now is actually on the Cal football staff. He was there under Brian Harsin. And he said the moment you stepped on campus, you had to know who the sixth grade kids were in recruiting. That's how deep Auburn football, that's how deep SEC football is. You have to be that far involved. It is a 365, 24/7 job. And that's where I think all these Auburn boosters are saying, number one, we're not winning the field. Our recruiting is terrible in a visual perspective, and you're playing golf and not on the trail. What's going on? If they were winning, you could golf all you want, but you're not. So this is more important for Hugh Freeze to set the tone of where's this football team's mindset when they set on Jackson Arnold or Ashton Daniels or even whoever else. Can this team with the receiver depth, the talent they recruited on defense, can they play at a decent level, at a respectable level, and come out focused and sharp from week one? We've heard rumors this past week that there are four coaches who call all four plays, but Hugh Freeze can override. There's a first down play caller, a second down play caller, a third down play caller, and rumors of a fourth down play caller. Now, is that tongue in cheek from Hugh Freeze? Is that kind of a joke, or the media running with it? If you were a good coach, people are like, all right, he's just joking. But there's so much chaos that nobody really knows if he's joking or being serious. He came out and jokingly said, oh, all three quarterbacks are going to play week one. Again, we don't know because there hasn't been a standard state. You haven't done anything to effectively say, you know what, he's joking, or you know what, he's being serious. So anything is possible in this game. On the Baylor side, Dave Aranda's, I think, been on the roller coaster his entire career. There's times where Baylor looks really good on there and very disciplined, and there's times where it looks like they have not spent a day on the practice field. He's a great coach. I think we both have tons of respect for him, especially as a defensive coach. But when are we going to get the full product from Baylor? When are we going to get that consistent effort week in and week out? One week they look great or they're competitive, or even from quarters perspective, they're competitive and they're not. Last year versus Baylor, they were getting the doors beat off them in the first half. They came back and looked like an amazing football team, almost beat BYU and pulled off a huge upset. Where is that mindset of this football team? There is so much chaos between both these programs, these coaches, and how these programs have been run over the past few years. Nobody knows truly what to expect on Friday night in Waco. This is going to be expect the unexpected mentality. It could be a 55-50 ball game. It could be a 3-0 game. I expect we're going to probably see a lot of offense just because week one knows to be communicating, but you don't know what to really get from here. I personally, for both coaches' sakes and both program sakes, give me a disciplined, competitive football game. Limit the mistakes, show effective football. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose the way it is. But if you can show me disciplined, constructive football where people are actually on the same page and running organized activities, I'll say, all right, there is at least some promise for a decent season down the road. If you come out and you're just clueless, there are timeouts being taken in the first quarter for personnel grouping issues and delay of games, that is going to be something that's just going to escalate the hot stove. There's pressure on Dave Aranda to win. There's pressure on Hugh Freeze to stop having the chaos at Auburn erupt. This game's actually be fun for the storylines of the two coaches and how their teams come out and be prepared to football and play football. Sawyer Robinson at quarterback has had some ups and downs in his career at Baylor. What can he show us here? It's not like he's a first-time starter. I want to see where he's at. If defensively the best player on the field is Keaton Thomas, the linebacker for Baylor, he might have a chance in this ball game to put up 15 tackles, and he could be the difference maker on a big third down late in the ball game. Talent-wise, I think Auburn has their backs against the wall. I think they find a way to prevail. It could be ugly. It could be a high-scoring Texas shootout. I think Auburn finds a way to win just because I think they have more depth at the receiver position in the offense that will allow them to produce some points. But if Baylor wins, I won't be shocked. This will be worth a four-quarter fight. It'll be fun. It'll be chaotic. There'll be stupid things happening. Social media will be ablaze. Auburn will find a way to survive, but it won't be pretty.
Fresh, let me tell you this. You said like social media being ablaze and the hot seat of Hugh Freeze here. I'm just gonna tell you that, and I'll go full on heel mode to any Auburn Tiger watching this thing. If the SEC is a house, the Auburn Tigers are the flaming bag of dog crap on the front porch. I know kids don't do that anymore with Ring cameras and all of these things anymore, but this team is so bad. It's so bad. This is just such a perfect example of SEC bias, of people thinking like Auburn is good. They have 4 years of 7 straight losses. They haven't won 10 games since 2017.
And that year they lost to UCF in the Peach Bowl.
Right.
After getting beat by Georgia in the SEC title game and getting left out of the playoff.
And since they won national title in 2010, they have 3 bowl wins. The Chick-fil-A Bowl, okay, I'll go to Chick-fil-A Bowl for the sandwiches. The Bahamas Bowl, I'll go for Atlantis water slides there. And the Music City Bowl, thank God it's in Nashville. This team doesn't go to you went to the Outback Bowl for Bloomin' Onions, like that's it. They're not good. This is Auburn's fault for hiring Hugh Freeze and not going with Cadillac.
They knew exactly what Hugh Freeze was when they did it. So yeah, you're right. It is on Auburn. They knew exactly who he was when they hired him.
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I get torn apart in the comment section here after Auburn blows out Baylor. Come on back. Give me the heat. I don't even care. You can hit me up on Twitter. Tell me how wrong I am about Auburn football. The only thing I'm going to say is this. Wait till the end of the year and let me know if you have double-digit wins for the first time since 2017, because you're not going to. I'm just going to tell you this. Again, someone needs to take the blame here. Put on the Timberlands and stamp out the giant flaming bag of dog crap in the SEC house right now. That's what needs to happen. You need to start from scratch there. Baylor,
Mississippi State fans are probably really happy to do that. Whatever, we're good. We're not being talked about as that.
At least like Mississippi State fans aren't unreasonable what they think about. Auburn fans think that they got a chance to win this league every year. Lost 7 losses 4 straight years. You ain't winning anything. You're winning as much as what's on the bottom of the Timberlands here. I want you to win this game just for Dave Aranda. You're right, Fresh. I do really like Dave Aranda. I want to see what Sawyer Robinson's going to do this year. Is like a year 2 thing. And people forget they have a 1,000-yard running back who almost averaged 6 yards a carry coming back. 12 scores for this kid, Bryson Washington. Kid's a redshirt sophomore. The next great running back to come out of the Big 12, like Ollie Gordon 2 years ago, where he just lit the world on fire. This could be a real good game for Baylor because Baylor's that kind of cool, trendy sleeper pick to win the Big 12 because they do have some talent on this team. They can put up some points, and Dave Aranda can coach. I don't necessarily know what Auburn's going to do. Again, I'm rooting for Jackson Arnold. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I like the kid. I've listened to him talk a few times there as well. But you know what? Also, too, you really haven't won a bowl game since Gus Malzahn was your head coach. And if anyone's listened to this podcast for a long enough time, I can't stand Gus Malzahn. I think he's not a very nice person after what I saw him do, not sign autographs for children. So guess what? I'm taking Baylor in an upset. Give me Baylor. Give me some points there. You want to jack that spread up a little bit? By all means, push it up a little bit further. But give me the Baylor Bears to upset them.
I like the even split there. This is the kind of game where I think of all that we talked about so far, this is the one I think has a real chance to go either way because you could see they could be sandbagging, Auburn could be ready, they come out firing all cylinders, whatever. But Baylor, like you said, they have a solid veteran quarterback, they have a good running back, they have a very good defense, and Dave Aranda can coach. So you can see week one, who's ready? We haven't seen each other, so who's ready to rock and roll from the very first kick?
Yeah, and if loses, I'm posting on our Twitter account a flaming bag of dog poop.
Billy, use the Billy Madison gift. Use the Billy Madison gift.
I will. It's poop again. All right, Fresh. Let's go to another game here. Let's go to a game that's on Saturday. This game is going to take place in Atlanta. The Syracuse Orange are going to Atlanta. They're going to face the Tennessee Volunteers. Interesting year by both of these programs. Syracuse is kind of rebuilding a little bit after they took a few losses in the transfer portal, but they brought some kids in. You know, Frank Brown's got some good things going on there in Syracuse. I think they're still a year away. Tennessee, in my opinion, they took 2 steps backwards to go 3 steps forward in a year from now. But Josh Heupel's got his work cut out for him this year. Joey Aguilar looks like he's going to get the start for the Vols here. I got a whole lot of questions, though. So what you got for us going on with Syracuse versus Tennessee?
First of all, folks, don't sit too close to the TV. There's going to be way too much orange on your television for this game. It's going to be painful. Missed opportunities, though, by Sharpie to have like the Sharpie sponsor or Bob's Barricades. We could have really serious orange-related sponsorships for this ball game. They should have hit up the orange-related items. You could have made it a big-time buy into it, lean into it. Yeah, I like how you mentioned a year away from Frank Brown. Last year's squad, Kyle McCord and a bunch of talent on the offense and a young, eager defense, don't have the energy to get after it. A lot of those guys have either graduated, transferred, gone to the NFL. Yeah. How quickly has he turned that program around in year 2 to replace all that talent? I don't think he's replaced at the quarterback position. Yes, he went out and got former backup from Notre Dame, who
Angelini.
He's not starting there. Says a lot. Yep. They have their own quarterback competition still undecided at this point. You lose your top receiver Pena in transfer to Penn State. Your best running back is now in the NFL. Your tight end Gadsden's in the NFL. So where's all that talent get replaced so quickly? That's my biggest question coming into week 1. Defensively, I think you had some young guys last year who recruited. Obviously, Frank Brown being a defensive back coach and a defensive-minded head coach. You're going to see some talent and recruits on that end to get some playing time. But still, you lost some guys off last year's team. How quickly do they fill out those coffers and get them back and ready to play at a high level? This might be that gap year of developed guys. You're going to see progress late in the year and then ready to go in 2027 with a much fully well-balanced developed roster. But it's week 1, anything can happen. On the Tennessee side, obviously the chaos all off season with Nico Amalevin and then now bringing in Joey Aguilar, basically a UCLA Tennessee trade. Aguilar was at App State. He had moments that really looked good, and he had some moments where he obviously looked like a mid group of 5 quarterback. You're going to get good. You're going to get some head scratchers, but I think you at least know what you have. And that is a big deal for Tennessee. we know what we have. We have a guy who can use his legs, that isn't scared to, but has an arm and has played in some big moments. He has had to start some football games. He's not coming in completely clean off the street. You have some backups out there on the Tennessee squad who are highly recruited, but haven't seen the field in a meaningful action. So give Aguilar the first chance. Let him know. Obviously, when it came, it was announced today, I believe, or announced early on before week 0. So you roll with it. If he has any issues of trepidation or looks lost, you obviously have other guys who've been in the program a little bit longer. You can throw away in there and make some plays. There's a cool stat put up by Brooks Austin, the film guy. If you look on Twitter, Brooks Austin, great follow, great film breakdown. He's connected more to Georgia football, but definitely looks at all of college football across the board. So he's not complete homer to the dogs. But he broke down Tennessee in their offense under Heupel. And there was a whole cry about Nico's parents are like, no, it wasn't. It was the quarterback. It was your quarterback. Nico was terrible. He had no deep ball touch. He couldn't hit the mid-range throws. There's a reason why they ran the football so much last year because he couldn't make the throws. He couldn't get the ball down the field and make the throws into the tight windows that needed to be made or on time. There were decisions last year they beat Alabama. And I remember one vividly where he's rolling left. The ball should have been thrown 50 rows deep into the stand and moved on to the next play. He threw the ball right to the Alabama defensive back. What are you trying to do? You look like Carson Beck trying to force the ball last year as well. That right there, playing outside the offense, trying to do too much, not having the skill set or the arm strength to actually get the job done, and lying to yourself and trying to force things and try to be the hero, cost Tennessee some ball games and cost Tennessee some efficiency on offense. It helped Dale Sampson in the running game, but it didn't help their passing attack. And obviously, you had receivers dropping the ball, which added to some of that issue. So this year, it wasn't just the quarterback; it was all the guys in play, the quarterback and the receivers. You've changed over most of those receivers, either they graduated or they transferred out. How does Aguilar and this new crop in this offensive line adapt and grow? Play within the system, play within yourself. You don't have to hit a big play every single time. Use Josh Heupel's offense. It worked under Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Milton was kind of in between. I think Milton tried to show off his arm strength too much, but it's been successful. It was successful at UCF, Missouri. Heupel's offense works. You just have to play within the system. I don't care if you throw for 500 yards in a game or 100 yards in a game, but you need to manage and take what's there and read and listen to your coach. If you can do that, you're going to be successful. If you try to play outside the system or be hero ball, you're going to fail, and it's going to be pretty obvious. The key to Tennessee's offense is to keep the offense on the field, fast-paced to wear the defense out, 2 yards here, 4 yards there, 6 yards there, 4 yards there, and you hit a big one every once in a while, but you don't have to take the deep shot every single play. It is using the running game in the form of the passing game. That's how you dictate. If Tennessee can get that Aguilar going quickly, they'll be fine and be successful. If there are pain points, if he tries to be too much, I think there might be a quick trigger and switch to a different quarterback. Because Tennessee can't waste time developing a quarterback and getting ready for week 3 when they host Georgia. You have to use this football game as a way to be prepared and you see what you have at quarterback. Defensively, they're going to be really, really good. That's why I think Tennessee's going to win this ball game. They have one of the best corners in the country in McCoy. If the rest of the defense can pick up and find a pass rush to replace some of the guys they lost on the defensive line last year, they'll be just fine. Offensively, though, I think we're going to look for some pain points early on. If you're a Tennessee fan, don't be irrational. I know it's very difficult for you guys to do, but do not be irrational early. Let this offense sort of get themselves under because you saw what you had last year. If you want to repeat of last year, you can yell and scream all you want. Let Aguilar and get the guys get comfortable early and let them develop and get a gel. I think they'll find a way to maybe a slow start early and they will finish strong in the second half. Syracuse should give them a fight for about a half, and Tennessee will take over in the second half and win. Both programs have some growing pains we're going to see early on in week 1.
This could be a sloppy game. I think Tennessee's defense, though, is going to give Syracuse all sorts of fits. I don't necessarily know if Tennessee's offense is going to, how great they are going to be. If Aguilar can take the Heupel's offense pretty quickly, then there's going to be some positives. Key player I'm looking at here, Fresh, is David Sanders Jr., a 5-star offensive tackle. Looks like he's going to start as a true freshman. This guy is a monster. Think Orlando Pace, think Joe Thomas, think some of the best offensive tackles to come out of college football. This guy is a beast. How well does he play? How quickly does he adapt to the college game and pushing some people around? He's able to protect Aguilar as well there. Another name I'm looking at, Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas. Are you able to pick up where Dylan Sampson left off? Are you able to run the football? Are you able to hit the hole when they open it up for you? That's going to be the main question I have here. I'm going to be honest with you, Fresh. The spread of this game is 13.5 Tennessee. I got Tennessee as a 2-touchdown winner in this football game. Not because I think Fran Brown isn't a good coach. I don't think Syracuse is a good program. But they got some work to do still there. I think that they're going to feel like I'm going to look at Syracuse how I look at Georgia Tech a year from now. That's really how I think about them. They got to get some kids in. They got to recruit kids that are going to hang around for a bit. You want to siphon off that transfer portal and all the kids that are leaving for it. But again, I like what he's doing. I like some of these kids that he's brought in here. I don't think you got the horses to compete with Tennessee for this game. So give me Tennessee and the points.
Yeah, I think Heupel's going to want to make a statement. He's shot before. He was up by 60 sometime last year in the opener and did an onside kick. If he has a chance to put it down, he's going to put it down and try to make a statement.
Yeah. All right, Fresh. Let's go to game of the week this week here for at least part one. It is the Alabama Crimson Tide. They are going to travel to Tallahassee, Florida to face the Florida State Seminoles. At time of record, Alabama is a 13.5-point road favorite. Over-under is set at 50.5. There's been a lot of chirping from Mr. Tommy, the quarterback of Florida State. And you look at this and you see Alabama is going to roll out with Ty Simpson to start off the year here. You wonder if you're going to see Keon Russell in this game or Austin Mack in this game here. Again, if I'm Alabama, I'm forcing Florida State to stop my running attack and say, just stop me. I'm going to line up, hit you in the mouth, stop me. Because again, Florida State, I know all the changes you made. You're coming off a 2-win season. Let's not get crazy here. Fresh, what you got, Alabama versus Florida State?
Well, an honest review, Mike Norvell, the pressure's on, buddy. You know, you stepped on campus. 23 obviously was amazing. I'm not going to deny that. That 23 team was loaded, and losing Jordan Travis was devastating. I think everybody. I would say there's even Florida fans that even were like, man, I feel deep down like you don't want to see it end like that. And it kind of felt like when he got hurt, and then obviously the being left out of the playoff and all that, it just gutted the entire football program. The soul was stolen. Mm-hmm. They went out to Ireland last year. DJU was supposed to be the guy, went the transfer portal, and they got punched in the mouth early by Georgia Tech physically, and they just did not know how to get off the field. And then you had the whole debacle about the guy in the solo cup and waste product, if you will, that he said he was going to eat and never did, and the losses just kept mounting. And they just couldn't get out of their own way. They looked just undisciplined, disorganized. Guys kind of looked defeated. Where's the juice, Norvell? New year, new script. You got to literally put whatever was the last year in the trash. Find guys who want to be players, who want to play with pride and hit. I don't care if they're 5 stars. I don't care if they're 2 stars. I don't care if they're walk-ons. I don't care how much NIL you're paying them. You want to get your best 11 on the field every single play who want to be out there and show up and play for all the fans in the stands, play for Chief Osceola, play for Renegade, play for Bobby Bowden, play for the Florida State teams of old, play for the brand, play for the standard. Because I haven't seen that truly in about a year and a half. I think the last time I saw Florida State play soulful football was when they played Louisville in the ACC title game, and the defense was phenomenal. But the entire defense, those guys are in the NFL now. Who's going to show up? Because right now, Norvell, you're living off of a late 2022, all of 2023. Because before that, it wasn't very good. And after that, it's been abysmal. You are the leader of this entire football program. This is all on you. You have got to get them ready to play football. You have Gus Malzahn as your offensive coordinator. I expect to see a lot more creative offense coming that way. Defensively, you guys are better be ready to tackle. They better be ready to cover. They got to be ready to play. there's something about Florida State defenders all the time. We talked about Deion Sanders earlier. You could put together a pretty good defense off of maybe a 5-year run in the early 90s from just Florida State players on defense alone. There's pride and there's a standard that needs to be upheld, and that has to start. Do we have the horses to beat Alabama? Not sure. But I want to see effort. I want to see discipline. I want to see some people actually playing organized, respectable, what you can actually call football on the field. Offensively, Thomas Castellanos, you ran your jaw. You put this team in the crosshairs. You had better back it up on Saturday afternoon. You had no business coming out and saying what you said. You could have kept quiet. Like, I'm here, do my business. I'm excited to lead the football team. You chose to actually call out and poke the bear. You had better come out and play very, very efficient football. Third downs, you better be on fire, making the right throws. If you have a turnover or if you have a bad throw or a bad read, it's on you because you have now allowed that Alabama defense to take notice. Like, all right, it's week 1 to now. Okay, it's week 1. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm taking this personally. You taking shots at Boston College and the coaching staff and some of the other players that you were the best quarterback on the team, and they're saying no, you aren't. It seems like you're fighting ghosts right now. You don't need to fight, so you better show up on game day and be ready to play effective football and lead the Noles offense efficiently and put some points on the board because you've been doing the talking during talking season. Now it's time for you to start playing. Florida State had decent recruiting last year. They brought some new transfers in. I'm interested to see Deuce Robinson, big time play, recruited as a tight end out of Arizona, went to USC. Now he's more of a big receiver. I could see him being a Calvin Benjamin kind of player. If you could use him right and his mind's right, he could fit that kind of role. And Gus Malzahn finds ways to put players and be successful. His offenses, there's nothing really rough. When Gus Malzahn's team, the offense isn't really the problem. It's the defense that usually lets him down. Now letting him sort of tinker with Castellanos, using that mobility. I mean, he won with Nick Marshall at quarterback at Auburn. He can win with different guys and put speed on the field. So if he can get that going, the offense can click early. At least it'll be entertaining to see how fast that Alabama defense can respond. On the Alabama side, last year, 4 losses. The pressure's on Kalen DeBoer. You have your offensive coordinator. You have a year in the system. You have Ryan Williams. You have Jermaine Bernard. Can you get this quarterback, whoever it's going to be, if it's Ty Simpson for the full game, if he's struggling, if it's Russell, whoever it's going to be, to play at an elite level and to come out and show efficient quarterback play, offensive line be ready to rock and roll. You have a lot of returners there, a lot of talent there. Use the offensive line. They did lose Jam Miller at running back. He's out until potentially late September, early October. You had Justice Haynes transfer, so the running back room is kind of wide open. Who's going to take that? Who's going to take the reins and own it? And defensively, Lawson, Jefferson, you have your 2 corners and Jackson and Xavier over there. Are you guys ready to lift your standard up and play at a higher level? Because last year you had ebbs and flows. There's some games you look really good. You look really good. Some drives you didn't look bad. Get back to the standard. We talked about during our preview. Womack, this is your 2nd year running this defense. What have you learned about the players you have on the field? Who are you challenging to be better? Who do you trust to be on the field to make the right decision and understand what you're doing? There's a lot of pressure at Alabama. If you come out and you look sluggish versus Florida State, the Sharks are going to start circling because everybody knows blood's in the water. This is not a Nick Saban Alabama team. If you come out and you put it on Florida State, you look efficient, you look effective, you look disciplined, all right, it's Alabama. This is still a team. The blip on the radar is over. But you have to send that message here versus Florida State and send a message against a logo. We talk about through other podcasts, there are logo games. Now, Alabama obviously is one of the logos of all the logos, but Florida State logo still means something. And you can go out there, you can put it on that Florida State football team. That sends a message. If you come out there and lay down or struggle with the product that we know last year's Florida State team was, it's going to raise a lot of questions about you because your gauntlet of the schedule only gets tougher if you don't look very good or you come out here and lay an egg and lose to Florida State week 1. I think Florida State's going to be a lot better. I think we're going to see a much more efficient and disciplined football team on Saturday. Do they have the weapons and the horses to win? I don't think so. But you're going to see a competent football team out of the Noles on Saturday against Alabama. They're going to be fired to play Alabama. They're going to be ready. The new stadium's completely fully renovated. It's going to be jacked up. It's going to be fired up. The tomahawk shots will be pumping. When Chief Osceola throws it down midfield to open the football game, it's going to be loud. Can you keep the fans in the ballgame for the whole 4 quarters? Can you play effective and disciplined football team and make it a game? Alabama, can you come out and be disciplined for a full 4 quarters and play an effective football game? I think Florida State will be ready for the challenge. I think Florida State will give them a lot. They'll play much, much better. But Alabama will be able to pull away in the 4th quarter and win this football game. The spread being 13.5 is intriguing. My bold pick is I'm going to take Florida State in the points. I don't think Alabama's going to blow them out. I think Florida State's going to play with some energy, but they won't have enough in the end. Give me Florida State to cover that 13.5, but Bama will find a way to win in the end.
First, Florida State had 2 wins last year. Florida a couple years ago only won 4 games. USF has had 1 or 2 win seasons. I mean, the 2 best programs in the state of Florida are an argument between UCF and Miami right now. And even though UCF only won 4 games last year. Florida State, you are in a very dangerous area right now. You are completely at risk of falling into the land of irrelevancy. I don't care of where you think you are. I don't care how many people you think watch your product. Again, compare yourself against national level programs. Yeah, you do okay in the ACC, but you don't do that great against other national programs here. If they don't fix this, Florida State has to go 8-4 this season. At minimum, 8-4. If they don't, 1, they're firing the head coach off jump. What's going to be the talk? Coach Prime is going to leave Colorado. He's going to take his star freshman quarterback with him and come to Florida State to be the savior of the program. Highly possible that it happens here. You brought a lot of transfers. You take a look at that wide receiving room for Florida State. 2 senior transfers and a junior transfer. You got Squirrel White from Tennessee in there as well. Again, is it going to solve the issues? I think it goes back to this whole thing. If you're using the transfer portal to live and die on your program year in and year out, more often, die on it. Because it's a reason these kids are not picking up these big NIL deals. I get it. Say what you want to do about the NIL thing, but the one thing that we don't really see a bunch is great players enter into the NIL, into the portal, because they get taken care of for NIL. Like, it's always like maybe that middle tier guy, or maybe a guy who's not starting for whatever reason. But you're never going to see Ryan Williams enter into the transfer portal. You're never going to see some of these other guys enter into the transfer portal without their coach leaving.
So there's some Caleb Downs left.
Right. It's the only reason these guys are going to leave these days, because they're taken care of. Florida State, you got to win this football game. You got to at least be competitive. Or by halftime, that brand new stadium is going to have just as many people in it as it did last year at the end of games. It's going to be half full. The kids are going to be back on college. They're going to go drown their sorrows in whatever beverage that they want to find in the local establishments there in Tallahassee. And there are quite a few local establishments in Tallahassee that will take care of these kids. But you got to do something. You got to make football season worth something to these kids, or Florida State fans are just going to cash out. They're going to cash out on you and go, great, it's another season. Fire people, bring someone else in, and we start over. DeBoer, I think we're going to see a different Kalen DeBoer this year. I think we're getting Washington Kalen DeBoer. I think he knows pressure's on him. Following Nixon, that's all the talk was the last year. You're following the greatest coach of all time. He's a year removed from that. He's doing a pretty solid job on the recruiting trail for him. And then on top of that, he's got some really good players he's starting to bring in. I don't necessarily think that he would be on the hot seat unless he lost like 5 games this year. I don't think this Alabama team is even going to come close to losing 5 games. I think there may be a 3-loss team here. I'll be intrigued to see what kind of offensive efficiency they have, how they change from last year's team to this year's team. And again, are they able to stretch the field routinely? Are they able to get some production out of the running back here? The defense is going to be good. I think this is going to be kind of back to an Alabama-style defense. There's a lot of NFL talent still on that Alabama defense. I'm going Bama in a blowout, man. Bama in a blowout. I can't stand Gus Malzahn. Florida State has 2 wins last year. They got to prove it to me. I think Alabama's just the better team.
I think if Alabama can, speaking like Tennessee, they have to come out and send a message, shoot at their back. And DeBoer, if he has a chance, puts a foot down. But Mike Norvell, you have got to make this team look competitive and competent. The 2022 second half with Jordan Travis and Verse and all those transfers really started kicking into gear. And then the following year where the team was loaded with transfers, who have you actually recruited and developed as a freshman?
Bingo.
Because that, like you said, you live and die with it. In most of these successful programs, you're taking guys maybe 5 or 6, 7 transfers, and you're helping them either to depth concerns, they're not your starters,
right?
Or you're getting guys a sophomore to just be on the depth chart and eventually work themselves up. You're not going out for plug and play starters across the board at a level of 20 players. So you need to start finding ways to really hit home and find sustainable victories. If you don't, people are going to start looking into this as a case study of transfer portal, yes or no, and when we hire a head coach, who do we actually hire? Like, what is the true pedigree? The guy who had a couple great years at Memphis, but as we're seeing right now from Silverfield, Memphis can win no matter who the coach is. Losing you was not the big difference. So what magic touch do you have to turn this program around and make it a consistent winner, or at least make it an efficient and effective football team that looks competent every time on the field?
I think we're going to get a lot of memes on social media during this game of Rocky 3, where we're screaming to stop the damn match. They're screaming,
throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel. You know, you go back to 90s pro wrestling as Jim Ross saying, stop the damn match, stop the damn match. He's broken in half. I got a feeling we're going to get a lot of those memes on Saturday after this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Florida State fan,
I feel sorry for them.
You have a proud program, and
you do.
Like I always go back to this: the athletic administration, the Florida State boosters, and Jimbo Fisher, and had their little face-off back in the day. It didn't work out well. I think Jimbo would have been fine being at Florida State, and he gave him what he wanted. He went to A&M. He took them for a lot of money, failed there, but I think you missed your chance right there. And this might actually be some karma coming back, unfortunately, because you guys chose to put money other places or not listen to Jimbo. But I hope they come out at least show a competitive effort on Saturday and not get the doors beat off you in the first half.
Yeah, because I don't want to watch a blowout. No one wants to watch that. But
and 3:30 in August in Tallahassee is not the weather conditions are going to be extremely hot. So at least enjoyable sitting in the stands and watching a game in the extreme heat, not a painful one.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that's part 1. Hit that subscribe button up there. Hit the notification bell because guess what? Week 1 is so filled with very, very entertaining slate. We had to do 2 episodes here. So make sure you like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Subscribe to the channel here. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out there as well. And let's try to move to 2,500 subscribers to the channel. We're on our way for that. If you like college football, make sure you hit that button up there. And special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Leave us that 5-star review. You guys know Fresh and I were those 2 5-star prospects. Interact with us. Tell us what we got wrong. Tell us if you also do believe that Auburn is a plain bag of dog poop. And make sure you engage with us on social media. Because guess what? We're going to be here all season long, all the way through the college football playoffs. College football is back. It's an exciting time here, Fresh. I cannot wait for week 1 to get kicked off, and we have more games still to talk to.
Let's get it going. Week 1 is here. Everybody's playing. I'm really excited. Hit us up on socials, Twitter, X, at IR Confidence Pod, at Spinnable Sports. You can find Haps and I both on our own Twitters here. And also spinnablesports.com and the Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. Follow it, subscribe to it, enjoy it, spread the word. And from there, We'll see you with our part 2 of week 1. With that, bye, y'all.